Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher. And man, I appreciate you guys coming by the channel and spending some time with me to check the video out. And guys, today we're going to have a conversation about active bass versus inactive bass and what that means and what causes a bass to be active and what causes a bass to be inactive. There's actually, it's not as clear cut as that. It's not like there's an active bass and an inactive bass. There's different levels of activity as far as the fish's aggressiveness. So we're going to go over that in today's video and sort of like talk about how you can use that to your advantage. And, you know, out of the videos I do, guys, if, you know, the ones that I just sit down and talk to you guys about fishing like this, these are the most valuable videos that I hope everybody really absorbs, because when I talk about like lures and stuff like that and, you know, colors and stuff, that's going to help your fishing out. But the things that are really going to allow you to go to the next level of an angler is an understanding about the bass themselves and their behaviors and their patterns they get into. That's going to allow you to put yourself around a lot of fish. And it's just like the old saying goes, guys, you can't catch bass if the fish aren't there. So you always have to land around the biggest populations of fish. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to the Fishing Teacher. Man, if you guys want to help the channel out, hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, commenting on the videos is a good way to support the channel. Also, guys, two quick things. Anybody interested in booking an on-the-water jerkbait lesson with me, I'm getting those lined out now for this winter. Just shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, for details. And finally, guys, thank you for everybody that's taken the time every video to go into my description of each video and use my links I put in there for your tackle purchases and some other ways to help the channel. Thank you very much for me and my family. We appreciate everybody that's doing that. Okay, a lot of people, I hear people talking sometimes about, man, the bass just aren't biting today, or they're really biting today, or they're not biting today. Bass are biting every day. It's like there's a population of the fish that are always feeding, always there to be caught. But bass are like people a lot. And this is one of the things I talk about a lot on the channel, is that you can't say that the bass and talk about the whole bass population in the lake are doing the same thing, because they're not. Every bass has their own unique mood and personality, that just like people do. And sometimes you're going to have bass that are chasing and very active, and sometimes you can't do anything to catch them, because not all of them will bite. But there's always some that will bite. Now, let me give you guys a perfect example of what I'm talking about in terms of levels of activity of a bass. In the springtime of the year, this is a great time to see how this is displayed out in real time, because you can see bass in clear water in the springtime a lot of times. If you're fishing like in April or May and the water is really clear and the water, say, is in the 60s, there's a lot of bass up shallow that are cruising, looking to make beds. There's bass bedding. There's bass shallow garden fry after they got done hatching their eggs out. This is the time that you can observe bass. And this is one of my favorite times of year to fish, because I can watch the bass. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this scenario fold out that I'm getting ready to tell you about. I'll be working down a bank in real clear water, you know, I'm seeing fish cruising. So say, for example, I see this fish swimming down the bank. Sometimes I see this fish swimming down the bank, and I'll throw like a wacky rig or something out in front of the fish. I can see it swimming in a direction. And as soon as that bait hits the water, that fish darts over there like a rocket and just gobbles it up. Other times it can be on the same day. It can even be in the same cove. I'll see another bass over there, and I'll throw in front of that bass, maybe 5 or 10 foot. And as soon as that bait hits the water, that bass darts away the other direction as fast as it can go, like it's been scared to death. And then other times, again in the same day or the same cove, I'll throw to another bass, and that bass will swim over there and look at that bait and then look at it and then just swim away from it. That's 3 prime examples about levels of aggressiveness or activity in the fish that is unique to that individual fish. And this is just something we can see. I believe in fishing that, and like I said, this can be backed up by, you know, spotlighting for bass. They see fish reacting to baits in real time there, which I don't want to get into that, but it's my theory is that the bass do the same thing even if you can't see them. So let's say, for example, if you're throwing a jig in 20 foot of water on a brush pile, or you're throwing a crankbait down a rocky bank, I think there's those same levels of activity. There's some bass that is like, as soon as it sees that crankbait bouncing off a rock, it gobbles it up. There's other bass that is, you know, if you throw that jig in 20 foot of water and that jig hits the bottom, that fish spooks away from it. And others have mild curiosity. So that is what you have to think about in terms of, you know, active bass or inactive bass. Now, when you're talking about how to put that into a real life world as far as catching fish goes, here's some stuff you can do. If a bass is active and you think the fish are active, you can fish aggressive, moving, larger lures like your spinner baits and your top waters and your swim baits and your crankbaits. Most of the time, bass are going to be more active based upon certain weather patterns. Now, the weather patterns that make fish really active are low light conditions like cloudy, rainy, you know, low light days, shady areas, and some wind, and usually water temperatures that are above 50 degrees. If you have the combination of like a warm south wind and you got an overcast cloudy day, like sort of what we got right here, I'm actually sitting in the Bass Pro parking lot filming this video now, that is going to a lot of times make fish active. And if you have the opposite, say for example, you got a bright bluebird sky, the wind's not blowing very much, cold front maybe pass through, something like that, those fish will not chase as much. They're going to be more inactive. So you're going to have to use baits that the fish don't have to expel a lot of energy. That's why in tough fishing conditions, baits like shaky heads and jigs and Ned rigs tend to produce pretty good because the fish don't have to commit to it. And there's everything in between, because it's not like you're just going to have a cloudy, windy day or a clear bluebird sky. You're going to have different levels of light intensity. You're going to have different wind speeds and directions. So the activity of the fish is dependent upon that a lot of times. So the thing that you have to do when you're talking about how to approach inactive or active bass, you have to determine if the bass are in a chasing mood or a non-chasing mood. And a lot of times that's just trying stuff. Like if you fish some active reaction baits like a lipless crankbait or a crankbait or spinnerbait for an hour or so down a really good looking area, maybe where you've caught fish before, and you're not catching any bass there, that's a good indication they're not wanting to chase that day. So slow down with something that you can fish on the bottom. So pay attention to the bites that you're getting in terms of a reaction bait or a non-reaction bait. Also remember that this is not just set for the day. It's like you may have fish that are active early in the morning and then they get inactive a little bit later in the day, or you may have fish that are inactive early in the morning and they get active later in the day. That's common like in the wintertime. In the wintertime when the water's cold, it's very common for the fish to be lethargic in the morning, and then it warms up a little bit, sunlight beats down on the water, they get a little bit more active. But the main thing is like there's things that you can do about it, but there's also things that you can't do about it. That's why bass fishing is the most difficult sport, because you're dealing with a creature that you're guessing their mood and their personality, and you have to experiment. You can't do everything. It's like you can't go and like the Bass Pro Shop here and buy 100 different lures and try them all out in one day. You've got to sort of determine what you think is going to be the best baits based upon the condition and the mood of the fish. So anyway, guys, it's just a few considerations. It's not, I wish I could give you like a real definitive answer, like this works here, this doesn't work here, but it's not like that. Bass fishing, there's a lot of gray areas in it. And best thing you can do, guys, keep an open mind, experiment, try stuff. If something's working, stay with it. If something's not working, keep trying different stuff. And welcome to the world of bass fishing, the mysterious, unknown, wonderful world of fishing. So anyway, I hope it helps out. We'll talk later.